kind of soup you got.
I like a good chicken and wild rice soup. It fits all of the ingredients that are tailored for my digestive system according to what is it called? Viome. There's like a special service where we should
Yeah.
save this for the intro, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
That's cool.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll
Put a
talk
pin
about
on
that in
that.
a second. Yeah.
We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We're here with Neel Parekh. Is that how you say your last name?
That is, nailed it.
Nice. We're going to talk about a drone window washing business, one of the many ideas that Neel has tucked away in his back pocket here. And yeah, this is behind the scenes on Run With It, the show that brings you business ideas, untapped business ideas from successful CEOs, ones that they are not necessarily going to start themselves. As Neel has shared with us, he's got way more ideas than he has time to implement them. So the idea of the show is he is bringing this idea that he likes to you, the listener, to inspire you and potentially even start yourself. With that said, we can start the official recording. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to Run With It, the show that brings you untapped business ideas from successful entrepreneurs. My name is Chris Justin, and I'm here with Ethan Janney. Ethan, how is your soup today?
It's good. And that's a nice transition to talk about stool samples because the soup that I'm eating has ingredients that were recommended to me by this service to which I sent a stool sample. They analyzed my microbiome and told me which foods were good for me to eat and which foods aren't. And wild rice is one of the foods that's good for me to eat, and chicken is, things like that. So yeah, a chicken and wild rice soup, it's perfect for me. And my poop loves it too.
I was prepared for you to talk about that, but I don't even know what to say to you.
Let's talk about poop. Come on. All right, wait. All right,
Yeah,
let's transition here. Let's talk about Neel. Neel has nothing to do. Neel has nothing to do with poop.
Well, maybe
He's the
his
opposite.
business has spent some time in that area, but maybe.
Now I'm brainstorming about different poop-based business ideas, Ethan. This is good.
Oh, indeed. There's a ton of potential there, and there's probably also some puns that I'm missing as well. But so Neel Parekh is here. He founded a company called Made This, MAID This, which helps short-term rental owners and homeowners meet their cleaning needs quickly, easily, affordably. I threw that in, the quickly, easily, affordably, from looking at your website. I hope it's affordable. I'm assuming it is.
I was like, I don't remember that being in our tagline, but I like it, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I like to restructure people's marketing for them. But yeah, so he's brought in a really fun idea for us to talk about. We've talked about flying cars. It's pseudo related. We've talked about window washing, and we kind of get to smash those two things together and talk about drone powered window washing. Chris, did any research on this? What do you think?
Yeah, I did a little bit of research. So the drone window washing industry is a nascent one. There are several companies that have created window washing drones. A lot of them are way cheaper. They're way faster. And really the key thing that piques a lot of curiosity here is they're safer, right? You don't have to have people go up on scaffolding on these 100-story buildings and clean windows. So yeah, this is a huge opportunity that's available right now. There are companies doing this, and I think it's good potential to start a service-based business offering these type of services.
We got to call it a stat here, though, by the way. Some more research we did that actually window washing is safer than driving a taxi, apparently. So, we have to remember that we're a little bit overprotected in this society, but that doesn't mean that it isn't profitable to make people feel overprotected.
I love that the stat you put is driving a taxi. Like, I guess a taxi is extremely dangerous to drive or something like that. Like, why taxi specifically instead of just any vehicle?
I guess it's just like a nice point of comparison to say, like you could go up really high and scrub windows and stuff like that. You might be really scared, but you probably should be more scared just kind of out on the roads.
True.
I think that's actually the common, Nassim Taleb made this great analogy after 9/11, and he was saying that the number of people that are going to die of car accidents after 9/11 is going to be more than the people who are going to die of plane crashes. And it's because they're all out on the roads now. They're not taking planes because they're afraid they're afraid to fly in planes, but statistically they're actually going to be fine. But now they're out on the roads, which is actually a more dangerous place. So it's kind of this. That was his argument about like you got to be really careful when you pay attention to the news and what kind of things they hype up. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, as we've seen from COVID, humans are terrible at risk management, risk mitigation, understanding, extrapolating risk like that. But let's get back on track here. Neel, tell us a little bit about this idea. What made you come up with drone window washing?
I came up with it a couple years ago, and Chris was telling me before the show, I have this like big list of just business ideas somewhere stored, and it's just anything that pops in my head. Maybe I'm pooping, right? Bring it back to poop, Ethan. Why not? Maybe I'm pooping. Maybe I'm showering. Maybe I'm eating.
Yeah,
and I just come
Neel
up with this
is
amazing
right.
business
He's
idea.
right up our alley, man. He's like totally in line with our style here.
Yeah, but like many people, business ideas just pop up, and I write them down. And I remember for this one, I was so excited when I thought about it. And I think it was a while ago. I was working in venture capital for a while. And when I was there, I'd always read stuff, come up with ideas, and think, okay, I'll start this sometime down the line. And I remember maybe 2-3 years ago, this is after I'd left that job and I was running my own company already. I looked back at that list and I saw drone window washing, and I went to check out if the domain's available. Like, yeah, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I bought dronewindowwashing.com. And
oh, you did buy it.
I did. And
stellar, man.
Any listener of the show, I'm probably not going to execute on this idea just because I have other things I'm working on. If you want the domain name, it is available to you. So
for free, or is there going to be a cost to it? Because there's already existing drone window washing services that we found, so they might want your domain.
They might want it. I don't really have a price tag attached to it. As long as you're a cool person, that's fine with me. So,
well, as long as Run With It's getting commission, the domain's going to cost $1.5 million.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, we'll attach an NFT to it as well.
Must pay in Dogecoin only, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Super Doge, right, Chris? We're going off the rails here, man.
Today's a soup type of day, just completely off.
So Neel, do you think you could start this? Like, does this seem like, imagine that you didn't have your existing obligations, just like as a human being with your skills and capabilities. Do you feel like this is something you could wrap your head around actually launching this drone window washing company? Does it sound feasible to you?
Yes, with one caveat. And my background now is in anything local business and franchising, right? I've made this franchise and also made this corporate, which is very localized. That's why I love what this is a hyper localized business. Meaning you could make $1 million in just one small city with something like this because of how many buildings there are. The opportunities are endless. You'd go with residential, you could go with commercial, you'd price it differently. So I think the possibilities are huge, and we'll dive into the business model of how I would actually structure it. But thinking about it this way, it's such a franchisable business model, and that's what I love about it. The caveat would be, I don't know the regulations around drones, and I don't know about the license agreements I would first need to get an actual drone. So I would not build the drone from scratch, right? I would for sure go to someone who's already built this technology and say, I'm going to license it from you. So that's gate number one to go past. After that is every city is going to have its own regulations as it relates to drones, and you need proper licenses for that. So if I could research that and overcome those two things, I think it's fantastic, because those two things are also barriers to entry for other people. But I don't know how hard it is of a gating issue yet, because I haven't researched it enough.
I can close the gap a little bit here in terms of some of that research. Before we get into some of the existing players in the market here and some of the vendors that we may want to work with, I want to throw out a cost for traditional cleaning. I found a stat not for an office building, but for a windmill, which I thought was kind of humorous. Mm-hmm. It costs about 10,000 euros per day to clean a windmill, and that's a multi-day affair. So if you're talking, if you're in the Netherlands, I'm picturing the picturesque seaside setting and these giant windmills. That's a lot of money, right? If you're talking, let's say 30 or 40,000 euros to clean one of those. In our research here, we're seeing that you can do that instead at maybe $2,000 or $3,000. So it's a huge cost savings to use one of these drones, use and operate one of these drones, compared to having people go up there and do one of these cleanings.
Yeah, there's a lot of domains where using drones just becomes a no-brainer for people who are doing some of these existing things, right? we had some damage to the roof of our condominium building. And I noticed some people came over to come check it out, and nobody's climbing up on scaffolding or ladders or anything like that. They just got their little drone helicopter and they fly it up top and they take a look at what the damage looks like and they put together some report. And in some cases, you could almost even get better data through drones by having a drone do it. They can go pretty much anywhere than a human who's like leaning over places and trying to find the exact location and things like that. But there's quite a few domains where a drone just kind of it just makes sense. It's a lower cost thing. And this seems like one of them.
Another example here, cleaning solar panels. That's going to be huge. It's growing, but this has already been done. There is a company out there called Clean Drone based in Spain that is focused specifically on cleaning these giant solar arrays. They have this thermal imaging, which will show you which ones you need cleaning more frequently. It's kind of a sophisticated technology. Another one that is coming up is firefighting. Actually, people are predicting that you'll be able to use drones to do some of that, which would be cool.
And that'll make a nice like firefighting calendar, like the beefcake drones, you know, Mr. July.
You went straight to the firefighting calendar.
I got it, man. By the way, also another thing for drones, right? There's another company that I heard of just on the topic of poop that we brought up earlier before. It's drone bidets. Have you guys heard of that one?
No, that can't be real though. That's surely not real.
It's just a drone inside of a toilet, like
guaranteed.
Well. Yeah.
You're sitting on top of like a flagpole or something. How did you get the full experience? No, I spoke to the CEO and founder of Lucid Drones as a company.
Okay, quit bragging.
Anyone could have done this, man. Their phone number's on the website. Call them up.
Now they're going to get flooded with calls and they can't do their jobs.
Yeah, you might not get an answer. I had to name drop Ethan and Neel in order to get this guy on the phone.
Nice. He's a YC alum, right?
YC alum. Their founders,
quite a young fellow as well.
Graduated college in 2019. They have just been getting going with this company, Lucid Drones. They lease drones to cleaning companies, such as the one that we are talking about starting here. That we're going to have the listener start, not us, actually, as we talked about. Some of our listeners, Neel, just a little aside, are confused by the idea that the guest is going to be doing this idea themselves. So very clearly, listener, this is an idea that you can take and run with.
Well, one of our listeners is good.
One of them.
We only talked to one about it
today. Yes, today. The listeners today. All right. They, as of 2019, when they did YC Demo Day, they had 11 clients. A lot has changed since then. They were leasing these drones to cleaning companies for about $3,000 per month. If you do the math on that, it saves a ton of money, a ton of man hours. And their model shifted from trying to sell to businesses and commercial buildings directly to working with cleaning companies. Andrew, the CEO, had told me about 50% of their new customers are existing traditional cleaning companies that do commercial building cleaning. But the other half, Neel, you may find this interesting. They're companies similar to yours, where they have an interior cleaning company or some other type of cleaning company, and they're looking to expand into commercial exterior cleaning, and they're getting a leg up by starting with this drone window washing system.
Yeah. Like, I think the winners are companies like that who lease the technology to individual players, right? Because eventually everyone's going to be transitioning towards drone window washing. Let's say in this case, if we're talking about window washing, there will be a segment of the population which they still use humans because it just makes more sense, but there would be a segment which uses drones. And eventually companies are going to convert to that, right? So where is the benefit of starting something like this from scratch? I think it's the branding and marketing of it. I love industries with competition. I like that that other companies are going to be taking this technology and doing it themselves because that makes it more normal to do. But if there's a company out there which has a very specific niche, and my idea is more commercial as opposed to residential or solar panels, and they brand themselves as the go-to drone window washing company, they're going to be able to blow away the competition. What I like about the local market is most local companies don't know what they're doing with marketing and branding. That's why I made this is somewhat successful at what we're doing, is because we're just better at marketing compared to the mom and pop shop down the street. And I think that would be the same case with window washing. So if someone can market themselves as the go-to drone window washing company in the US, and how I would do it, I was franchises model. you do it in one city, you figure out how to get contracts for commercial. And I'll talk about in a bit why I'm saying commercial, not residential. You figure out how to get the contracts, you figure out where to get the licenses from, you figure out how to get permits for it. And then all of a sudden you go to every single city and say, who wants the rights to do this in your own city? I've already figured out how to do it. And that's how you expand rapidly. And that's how you get the name of drone window washing out there. So I think it's a huge, huge opportunity. And I think there's many ways to do it. So I'm actually very glad to hear, Chris, that a lot of other companies are getting into the drone space.
And actually, you have an opportunity here potentially to build a name that's recognizable. Like one of these brands, maybe you have an actual functional thing. Maybe we come up with it on the show. That's a name for what you call drone window washing, right? It's just like Kleenex or Googling or Steinway or whatever, some kind of brand name recognition where you're just what it is. This is what it is. It's robo window washing or whatever you come up with. And the other thing that I think is really interesting, not that it hasn't come up before here on the podcast, I don't know if we explicitly talked about it, but something you mentioned, taking advantage in a positive way of the fact that people don't locally understand how to do marketing, right? There's so many huge opportunities there. Really great success story is the guy who started 1-800-Dentists, right? He's not a dentist. He doesn't do dental work, but he just knows how to market for dentists. And he built this whole brand around, hey, call 1-800-Dentist and we'll connect you with a dentist. And all they do is just find good dentists to put in their network, and you call the number and they connect you and they do all the marketing and, make millions of dollars.
Absolutely. And that's why I think taking this down to the local spectrum, maybe you don't have this scale as a company like Lucid Drones where they could actually sell the technology and they can go around the world. But the reality is you don't need to. Like there's enough money to be had, like we just discussed with the numbers that Chris mentioned, in a specific city. And imagining just focusing on New York City where there's thousands of skyscrapers, like that's a multi-million-dollar business right there just from cleaning the windows of those buildings. So that's again why I like the local spectrum and why my ideas generally are around that realm. You don't have to be the first mover. You just have to do marketing a little bit better than other people. And you have to know what you're doing with business. But it's not as complicated as starting a company from scratch, trying to go global, competing against the world. It's you're competing against a local market. That's pretty much it.
Maybe it'd be helpful to talk a little bit about your experience with Made This. From looking at your website, you focus at least a decent number of your services on Airbnb rentals, which is kind of the commercial space in terms of residential cleaning, right? Can you talk a little bit about how you see that split and how your experiences there could inform how you'd approach a business like this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so I'd start that with describing the different divisions, or I guess the different revenue streams we have. One is residential cleaning. It's about 50% of our business actually, which is just, Chris, Ethan, you need a cleaning for your home. You could order a monthly cleaning, a biweekly cleaning, a weekly cleaning. A cleaner comes out, cleans a place. That's basically it. And we just have a very easy online booking and reminders, things like that. The other end is for vacation rental customers. One guest checks out at 11, next one checks in at 3. They need a cleaner to come in. We just sync with their calendar and automate the scheduling of it. So Chris, you actually described it in a way which I haven't described myself on, but I might steal it, which is like, it is residential, but it's the commercial aspect of what we're doing, which is pretty accurate actually. But what I found by diving into this space is mainly about the competition. Is no one knows what they're doing with marketing. Like I keep saying marketing because that's really is what it is. If you have a decent business model and you know how to market well and you know how to make the customer experience good, you're gonna thrive in the local market because the competition is not people who are at the cutting edge of marketing. I was talking to some other guys who run cleaning companies as well, and we're saying how we love the cleaning industry because it's almost like everyone's 2 or 3 years behind the curve on marketing. Now, when I was trying to start my entrepreneurial journey, I was trying to do anything remote based, like e-commerce, drop shipping, whatever. But the problem with that is the competition. They're using cutting edge marketing tactics. You're competing against the world at that point. So anything with a local spectrum, I feel like it kind of insulates you a little bit more room to play. And the reality is you could still make a lot of money doing that.
How does that change if you're in a smaller market?
Sure. So I think it would dictate the type of services you have and what you'd be doing. For example, if you're selling $150 cleanings and your population is only 10,000, you're not going to be able to make as much money, right? But if you're selling a product or a ticket, which is $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, you can still make a decent chunk of money. But smaller markets, yeah, that'd be tougher, and you'd have to really pick what you're actually operating there.
Do you think it'd be possible to start a drone window washing business in a smaller market, or operate it from a smaller market? Maybe you're doing it remotely. Do you think that would be doable?
Operating in a smaller market, I would. So, all right, depends what segment you're going after, and I'll qualify that. But with this, you mentioned a company, Chris. They do drone window washing for solar panels. Fantastic. I'm sure they're in a bunch of small markets, and they just go to the solar panels in the field in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, and get them cleaned and go back. But if you're in a smaller market, which all residential, that means your focus is going to be residential drone window washing. The average ticket price right now for window cleaning is maybe $250 to $300 for a house for window cleaning with a human doing it. Meaning, I don't see the value of offering them a cheaper price to do drone window washing for $150. Like, how often are they doing that? Like twice a year, maybe. So if it's purely residential, I don't think that's the way to do drone window washing, because I think the dollar amount would be too less and the frequency would be too less based off of how much you're investing in the technology and going about this. Therefore, the only places this really makes sense is if where there's enough commercial buildings. And I don't mean like New York City where the skyscrapers everywhere and there's probably tons of regulations around if you could fly drones there or not. But cities, let's say even Minneapolis, right? The downtown area is a little bit wider. There are a good decent number of skyscrapers and commercial buildings there, and you would be able to target them and probably get licenses appropriately for that. So I guess my gut right now says smaller markets doesn't make as much sense for drone wind washing, because I don't think residential is the move. I think commercial is the move, because that's where the real cost savings happen.
I listened to, in preparation for this, what I believe was a window washing podcast, where the guy was.
You got to share the name. These are always great.
I'll find it. It was actually not an obvious name. I'll find it before the episode's over, or I won't. I don't know. But anyways,
leave the listener in suspense. That's what they come here for, is the podcast recommendations.
Yeah. The reason to Google window washing podcast, they get targeted with all this window washing
stuff. The reason I said that is because I was listening back to one of our previous episodes where I promised that I would look something up and share it before the episode's over, and I did not. So I just want to let's have lowered expectations. Okay. So I want to under promise and over deliver. So, but one of the things that these window washers were talking about, this guy who was actually, he was in Canada, and he was thinking about expanding to the United States, was doing a great job. It was actually, he had a drone window washing type of business. And he said, when he interacts with the clients, he wants to never talk to them. And he sells that to them. It's like, you work with me, you don't have to think about this. We show up, we do the job, we go. If you're talking to me, there must be a problem, right? So this is also something that I've heard. Even I do some work in the piano tuning domain, Neel, and so I have some insights from that domain. But I have a friend who has a lot of gigs where he has institutional clients. He works for cruise ships, recording studios, hotels, schools, things like that. And he echoed this. He's done a really great job building these contract-based relationships. And a lot of people think, oh, you have to cater to them and engage with them a lot and make them feel like, you care about them in some special way. But let's say you have a guy that works for a hotel and he needs to make sure the piano gets tuned once or twice a year. That guy likes you if he actually never has to talk to you or think about you at all. And so you sell your services by saying, you want to work with me? You'll never talk with me again. But those pianos will be perfectly taken care of. All you got to do is pay the invoices. I'll take care of the thing. You'll never see me again. So it's something interesting to think about with this window washing service as well. You kind of want to be very unobtrusive and behind the scenes. And that's when you're doing your job right.
Taking that same idea, but flipping it. Andrew had shared with me that the product kind of sells itself when people see it in action. Like, oh, what is that thing on the side of the building? And it's washing the window. That's super cool. Other business owners are talking about it, and word of mouth spreads. So it's obviously different, and it's still new enough that works, right? Maybe 5 years from now, it'll become completely commonplace. But for now, that's part of your marketing, just seeing it in action.
Yeah. And for the commercial property manager who's doing the budgets, it's a no-brainer how much cheaper it is, right? So for them, if they see it in action, it's kind of cool. You're like, it's literally going to be a fourth of what you're currently paying. I think that's huge, right? And that's why I think commercial is great. And even to your point, commercial people are the ones who don't want to deal with it. For what we're doing with the Airbnb property managers, they don't want to talk to us. They're like, automate it. Just call me if there's a problem, but I do not want to deal with you guys. And the managers who want to deal with us, we're like, okay, this is probably not a good customer fit anyways. So that's why I think the commercial aspect of it. And just in terms of cost savings, if I'm thinking about it from a business owner perspective, if there's a drone, I'm pretty much just paying one guy to fly it around. I don't have to pay for scaffolding. I don't have to pay for that crazy insurance for that. The workers are probably paid, my all-in costs are at least $40 per hour for the workers doing it. So there's a ton of cost involved in it. And I could replace that with proper licensing, a drone license, someone to operate the drone, and then whatever materials are needed to actually clean the windows. I would assume that the quality of the window cleaning isn't going to be as good as someone up there, like in a Spider-Man suit doing it. But then again, most buildings don't really care. It's the property manager. They're like, I just need to get this done. And that's pretty much it. Just make it look pretty good. And they're happy. And you could charge them a lot less than a lot of the other guys.
Spitballing on some of the ways that you could start this, I would reach out to Lucid Drones, see how much it costs to lease one of their drones now. Updated pricing. As I said, it was $3,000 per month back in 2019. I wonder if you could pre-sell some cleanings to some of these skyscrapers and say, hey, we'll do, you can buy a coupon 50% off your cleanings if you pre-purchase for the next 2 years or 3 years, and get them to actually fund your initial outlay so that you can get started with this.
That's a great idea to pre-sell it. Of course, you'd want to try it out to make sure you know how to operate it. Like do it on your friend's home or go to like small buildings, maybe not like a massive 50-story skyscraper. But pre-selling would be huge. And I think it's totally doable because all these businesses for window washing, they usually operate on contracts in the commercial realm. You get a 2-year-long contract and they come out X number of times per year. So being able to cut that'd be huge.
Okay, listener, this is where I come in and over deliver. I found the podcast.
Is that over delivering or is that just saying?
Yeah, because I said I wasn't sure that I was going to do it, and I'm doing it now. See? Okay, so Tim Byrne Almost Live podcast, and it's not a window washing podcast. It is a property manager and construction podcast. That's what it says. Although I did hear him in the episode say like he's going to bring on like several different window washers and have them compare their various businesses. So this was Robot Window Cleaners in the Apocalypse episode, season 4, episode 8. It's hard to keep up with all the change underway in our industry. Automation and robotic technology are about to upend everything we thought we knew. To prove my point, Michael Marazov and his company, Orem Window Washing. So he's talking about this company. And if you want to listen to quite a haughty character, it's Michael Marazov from Orem Window Washing. I listened to the episode. He's got a beefy attitude. I like his style. He's got really short clipped answers for every question. Kind of cocky. This guy's going places.
Nice. I'll give it a listen.
All right. What else comes to mind in terms of action steps here?
So step 1, I think, Chris, I think you outlined it perfectly, is you need to try it out first to see if this makes sense. To try it out, 2 steps. Try it out. Go to the Lucid company and see if you could shell up some money to actually give it a shot. And the other step would be probably to research in your city that you want to open it up. What are the license requirements for it? And what are the zoning requirements for window washing? If those 2 gating issues are handled, I think the business model is gold. Like I love the business model. Like I said, I think it's hugely franchisable. You could scale it pretty rapidly. It sounds like it's pretty low overhead compared to other window washing companies. The way the industry is going, based off what you said, Chris, is other companies are converting to drone window washing, which is fantastic. That just means everyone's going to be more used to it. You can start the brand around that. So the business model, in my opinion, is great. It's just the gating issues. I'm very curious if those could be solved. And I suspect that it's going to be very city by city, county by county. So it's probably going to be tedious, but it's a good barrier to entry.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I've become aware because my father-in-law and my brother-in-law are actually pilots. My father-in-law is retired. He's taught aerospace, and I don't know if you call it aerospace, whatever. He's taught piloting. I can't think of the word for it. At a university to students learning it. There's actually classes on drone piloting and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So you might be surprised by being able to connect with somebody who's a pilot, that they might have some knowledge of, not only how to pilot these things and make them work, and sort of the FAA regulations, right? They're going to be up to speed on FAA regulations and how they might be involved with drones, or at least to be able to get some research in and develop those things.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting avenue to see if you want to partner with someone in that space.
I'm always surprised with like new technologies come up and they get so much hype for a while. All of a sudden they kind of go away and you're like, oh, whatever happened to that? And I feel like drones was kind of one of those things where like years ago when they came out, there's so much hype around it. Like, oh, we're going to like IPO this company based off of drones, and we're going to do this, this, and this. And, there's like VR companies. There was, why am I blanking on it? The like MakerBot, which makes like the plastic
3D printing,
which was huge. Then all of a sudden you didn't hear about it. But the reality is it's still kind of there in the background, and the technology is being used. It's just not as in your face. Like 3D printing and engineering is massive, right? It's huge over there. And I feel like drones is kind of that thing where years ago when drones came out, everyone saw the more of like the retail uses of it, and then it kind of got out of the limelight. And now we're seeing the actual real applications of it a few years later. So it's kind of cool just to talk about this and say, actually, yeah, drones is like, they're here to stay. There's just so many different applications for it. Cleaning being one small one, but it's a multi-million-dollar business in itself.
I think what you mentioned about the regulations is really key here. And I think this is where people win. It's maybe a little bit deflating to say, right? This is the unsexy, unromantic part of being in business. It's the people who survive, who can, I guess people would say, like, what shit sandwich do you want to eat, basically? Is it interesting enough for you to tolerate the kind of annoyance of going through legal documents and figuring out permits and consulting on these type of things? If that's the kind of thing where you actually might enjoy the pain of that more than somebody else where they would give up, then this is the domain you want to go in. A good example of this is someone is developing a product, blockchain product for NFTs that are going to be connected to physical assets, right? So there always be a physical, there's actually gold bars, right? You can buy the NFT and then you actually have a gold bar that's
Is that the most like meta thing, Ethan? Like a blockchain NFT, which is a digital asset that's connected to a physical product. It's just a full circle.
Yeah, I feel like we're going backwards here with this.
Well, it's a claim on ownership. And anyways, the point being, where this fellow who started this business called Materium has really done most of his work is just talking to lawyers and figuring out the details and figuring out the legalese and how do you say that this is owned by this person and make sure all of your ducks are in a row around that stuff. So these things can be quite boring, but they can, be quite profitable as well.
This one actually seems really straightforward to me, which is it's a sign that it's probably very lucrative for someone who's going to take it out.
It's not straightforward. It's VTOL, Chris.
Vertical takeoff and landing.
Yes, there you go.
Know.
Typically, I think the unsexy businesses are the best. Like we do cleaning, right? And if I look at a lot of the wealthy people I know, they're all in very unsexy businesses. I love that. I think boring old companies, that excites me because that's where, to be honest, real money is to be made. You can do the exciting route, blockchain, NFTs, and start this huge e-commerce company, whatever you want. Like that's one way to make money too, but I don't think you really need to do that. And oftentimes, these underserved, dirty industries, that's gold. That's where it really happens.
So that's a perfect segue. We've been trying to incorporate this a little bit more because we don't want to fully discourage our listeners and make business lifestyle sound like it's all you do is have your nose in books all day and fall asleep working or something like that. Mm-hmm. Neel, so your business itself is unsexy, but your life probably has some sexy parts. Tell us a little bit about the kind of lifestyle you lead, because you're kind of working from abroad. I see a picture of you working on a laptop in front of like a beautiful mountain range. Tell me, how do you kind of mix the kind of boringness of the work or the dullness of whatever the domain is with now you kind of get some time to enjoy what you've built?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the premise of why I started Made This, and kind of now what Made This franchise represents is I think business should cater to your life, right? It shouldn't be like you're waking up every day to serve your business. It should be the other way around. So it is a lifestyle focused business, and Made This franchise is for people who want a lifestyle business. What I mean by that is you still want to grow, you still want to make a good amount of money, but you want to structure in the way which supports what you want to do. So I started it because a couple of reasons. I wanted to travel, and I also wanted to help support my parents financially. That's why I started Made This originally. The problem at that point was, oh wait, I just started a local business. How the hell am I going to be traveling while doing this? But I kind of just said, I'm going to figure it out. I booked a one-way flight to Colombia, and for 5 years from when I quit my finance job, I was just building Made This and traveling. So I was kind of doing the quote unquote digital nomad life and scaling this local business while being completely remote. And the cool part is now, like, it's totally doable, right? Maybe you talked to me 20 years ago, maybe it's very hard, but now there's like Slack, there's VoIP systems, like there's tons of ways to run a local business completely remote. Remember earlier I mentioned a lot of local companies are like 2-3 years behind the curve with marketing, even more than that as it relates to anything internet related and remote working, right? So we were able to kind of capture a lot of the systems that maybe a lot of larger companies were doing on a remote basis, but bring it down to the local level, get, global workforces working on a company in LA. So there's just many ways to run a local business completely remotely. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to travel. So I traveled for about 5 years until COVID hit, right? Then I was stuck in Mexico for a while, and I kind of wish I just stayed, but I came back to the US after that, and I've been here since. But I think it's just permanently part of my lifestyle is I could work from anywhere. And it's kind of cool that at least post-COVID, a lot of people realize that that is something totally doable, is working remotely. And I think local businesses, the right type of local business, can be run completely remotely as well.
Yeah, I'm just to piggyback on that. I run a business in New York. I live in Chicago. I ran it from Peru, and it's a piano tuning business, right? So feet
Oh,
on the ground, going to people's houses, tuning their pianos, and you can manage and something like that from another state, another country.
yeah, absolutely.
Neel, for Made This, you're looking for more franchise owners?
We are.
Sorry.
Yeah, we actually
Let
didn't
me,
launch.
let me run that back.
Go ahead.
I just got caught. Neel, you're looking for more franchise owners for Made This?
We are. Yes.
Tell us more.
Just the dramatic pause.
Yeah.
We just launched franchising in late 2020. So we ordered our first franchise in Denver, and I'm mainly looking for people who understand the business model, who understand the kind of ethos of Made This, what we just talked about, which is lifestyle-driven brand focus on helping you achieve freedom, but it's really for motivated people who want to grow, who want to focus on that. So there's a lot of great markets around the U.S. which focus on vacation rentals, which are prime for this type of business model. And I think it's going to be such a huge opportunity with travel coming back and vacation rentals coming back. So yeah, we're looking for people who fit the mold, fit the culture, understand the business model, what we're looking for, and looking for what I call a remote local concept to join us. So for this year, we're probably only going to be awarding 2 franchisees. I think we're being very, very selective of who gets in the tribe, basically. So we're getting a couple of franchisees and just scaling across the US from there.
Yeah, if someone's interested in doing that, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Sure. Yeah, you'd go to Made This Franchise, MAIDTHIS franchise.com. You could also even go to my personal website, neelparekh.co, message me over there and learn some more information.
Great. Well, Neel, it's been a pleasure talking about Made This, talking about this drone window washing idea as well. Really appreciate it and looking forward to catching up with you in the future.
Likewise. Thanks, guys. It was fun.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording, sign off.